Good morning and welcome to the Academic Convocation of the 2019-2020 academic year. I'm Jeremiah John, Provost here at Southern Virginia University. Welcome to all new and returning students, and welcome to staff and faculty to this occasion. We'll now sing the first verse of Let Us Oft Speak Kind Words, followed by an invocation offered by sophomore class president Don Mead. We thank Dr. Kyle Nielsen as our chorister and Dr. Keenan Reeser as our organist.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this beautiful earth that we have to live on, and thank you so much for the opportunity we have to gather ourselves together to become better people. We are so grateful for the spirit that we are able to feel here on campus, and please bless the students and faculty here that they will be able to become better people throughout this meeting, and that they will be able to be uplifted. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Before I introduce our speakers, I'd like to recognize President Wilcox and also our Chair of the Board of Trustees, Dane McBride, who are in attendance with us today. I'd also like to ask Jack Dryden to stand. He's your academic senator, and he's a member of student government that I will be working with a lot this year, and I'm excited to work with. And so if you have thoughts about academics, you can certainly contact your teachers and others, including me, but Jack Dryden is going to be my partner this year in working on issues like that. So thank you for sitting up front today and for standing. At this time of year and many times of year, and especially now, I just feel incredibly blessed to be a part of this university. First of all, because of you, because of the students that are here. Not just because of how many there are, even though that's really exciting, but because of the kind of people you are. Even though I'm provost, I have the opportunity to teach over 60 students in my classes, and most of those are brand new to the university. And I'm just so impressed with you all who I've been able to meet so far this year and those who have returned. And that just makes me feel incredibly blessed. I feel like the Lord is raining down blessings constantly on this university. And much of the efforts that I make with my students is trying to help them to understand all the wonderful opportunities and all the people who can be mentors and friends and all the people that they can form relationships with. And I think this meeting, Academic Convocation, is an opportunity for us to share some of those blessings with you that you may or may not be aware of. And so I've asked two of my friends and colleagues, James Lambert and David Dixon, to address you today. They'll be able to say whatever they wish about themselves. Those of you who are in their class know more than I could say right now. James Lambert is a fourth-year professor in English, and David Dixon is in his second year teaching business. And I'll turn the time to them.
In the year 1413, in a book called The Pilgrimage to the Soul, one of the first mass-produced and mass-printed books in English, the poet John Lydgate declared, and I'll read this in the Middle English for my history of the English language students, "Tha provosta letemaca greta convocation," or the provost gathered us for a large convocation. Not sure what to make of the fact that that little line appeared in 1413 and kind of the birth of English in England. Maybe it's just this. We've been doing this whole business of education. We've been doing this business about universities, colleges for a very long time. However, that doesn't mean this college education is easy, nor does it mean that we have figured it out. The motive has never been profit, although that is certainly helpful, nor is it prestige, although sometimes we succumb to prestige's dancing Salome. No, I sense we've been doing this higher education thing for so long because it is meaningful to all who participate. College has many advantages, but the meaningful? Look, Professor Lambert, I go to church for that. I listen to music for that. I hang out with my friends for meaningful. I rewatch The Notebook or Moana for meaningful. And all those things are free. This supposed meaningful experience is costing me a ton of money, and it dropped you in the middle of rural Virginia among these mountains that are really hills for 4 years. I am not apologizing for the Blue Ridge Mountains. There is nothing to apologize for. You are in perhaps the most beautiful setting in the eastern United States. And by the way, if I hear another Utahn suggest that these are mountains and not hills, I am going to suggest that their mountains are not mountains, but the giants of Noah come to destroy the wicked floodplain. No, let me explain meaningful. College is meaningful in part because it gives meaning to things we didn't know originally existed or even mattered. Did you know that I am borrowing the Socratic dialogue format for my talk because this is the way the original universities operated as academies in ancient Greece? That seems meaningful, right? That learning has always been more of a dialogue than a lecture. I mean, not only do we learn that fact at Southern Virginia University, we try to live that fact. Sure, that's interesting, I guess. But why did I need to come here to SVU to learn that? Won't any community college, large public university, or casual Google search give me the same information? Learning that I am trapped in a Socratic dialogue doesn't make me feel any better about coming to SVU. Well, perhaps any community college, large university, or casual Google search can tell you about the Socratic dialogue, but none of those can provide you with the experience of professors who not only want to sincerely dialogue with you, but who also want to know if you feel trapped and why. These are professors that want you to learn these things because learning them makes your life a little bit more livable, a little bit more beautiful, a little bit richer. Whoa there, overeager professor. Did you just say professors want my life to be a little richer? Like money richer? As in, you helped me make more money by dialoguing with me about philosophy, about Milton, about the Enlightenment? How does this 4-year study make me richer when I could be spending my 4 years working to make me richer? Indeed, my fair student friend. Jumping right to the crassness of the almighty dollar, the vulgarity of capitalism's siren song, the whine about wanting Benjamins. A recent study at Georgetown claimed that college graduates make over $1 million more than their non-college graduated counterparts over their careers. Look, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, earning a bachelor's degree will make you, on average, 2/3 more money than those that never earned one. So let's say you were working for 4 years instead of college, and you make a total of $150,000, which sounds great, and that's the highest earning potential for non-bachelor degrees for 4 years. That's a lot of money. But it will only take you 2 years and 5 months to earn all that back after a full college experience at the bachelor's degree level and rates of pay. And by the time you are 7 years out of college, you will have made $130,000 more than your non-college degreed counterpart. And just so you know, I am counting in that figure the costs and even debts of four-year tuition you would have paid at Southern Virginia University, which, by the way, is among the most inexpensive private liberal arts schools in the nation. Okay. So the school will make me richer, I guess. But I didn't understand any of that math because I haven't yet taken Math 100. I'm saving it for later, I promise. Don't worry about it. You should trust me. One of the benefits of a full liberal arts education is learning all this math, a current requirement, if for nothing else than to figure out what is good for your future earnings. The point is, SVU's tuition allows you to get the full benefits of an excellent four-year education and increases your future earning potential by 2/3. So by the end of 20 years, please don't give me any more math. But speaking of, why then do I have to take all these classes that don't have anything to do with what I am going to be working on? I want to be a business guy. So why can't I just take business? But I have to take these classes where I read about anything else other than business. English classes, philosophy classes, history classes, foreign language classes. I mean, come on. I am glad that we've left the earnings potential conversation too, not because the math, I'm fine with that, but because I hate to gauge the potential of human learning by the potential of human earning or human income. That seems to me kind of gross. And at cross purposes with what it means to be human. We are not just laborers with earning potential in an economy. If we were, we would be robots or automatons, soulless and captive to whatever we are worth in labors and dollars. No, we are much more than that. We are the sum of human creativity, imagination, beauty, inquiry, wonder. We, my student friend, are all things that are not efficient in the marketplace, but that are wondrous to behold just for wonder's sake. God did not declare that his creation was good once free market economics and the marketplace were established. No, he declared it was good once he saw the earth and its inhabitants. So to me, studying all that literature, history, art, culture, and foreign language is a way to understand who we really are, where we came from, and what gives us true value in a world that often wants to reduce us to our earning potential. We teach what it means to have value as a human, indeed, as a divine child of God. Okay, I was following you up until the robot part. Although all that you said seems nice and all, but I just want a job. I just want a job after this. Well, in that case, let me assure you that your broad liberal arts education at SVU is the best pathway. Increasingly, employers have started to value job applicants with a liberal arts degree more than even STEM students. According to a recent report by Strata Institute, more and more STEM employers are hiring graduates of liberal arts programs because they are increasingly valuing the human skills like communication, leadership, and problem solving that come from those degrees. This is a trend all over the working world. In fact, some industry leaders are now calling out for more liberal arts students as the future of industry. Even Mark Cuban of Shark Tank Nonsense has recently suggested that the future of work will be liberal arts majors because they have the skills that cannot be replaced by automation. Steve Jobs, the patron saint of uncolleged success, proclaimed that it is, quote, technology married with the liberal arts, married with the humanities, that yields us the results that make our hearts sing, end quote. Look, your best bet for getting a job is to market yourself as something that SVU will make you, a strong leader with the kind of confidence, communication, writing, and problem-solving skills that come from almost any major. How about them apples? Okay, you're kind of exhausting me, Professor. I'm just feeling overwhelmed. College is weird. I'm kind of lonely. My phone is not satisfying me. I don't have enough friends. Social media depresses me. And I don't get enough sleep. Welcome to college. We know it is rough. And making lifelong friends, most research has shown, might be the most beneficial gift of college. So feeling lonely is extra hard. But you made the right choice to come here. You really did. It was a leap of faith. And you are here now, and I know it is hard and confusing and occasionally lonely, but look, you're doing the right thing. You have each other. You have us. You have God. And all of us support and encourage you to call on Him because we can. Because that is the kind of place that SVU is. We want God in our lives just as much as we want Plato and Milton in our lives, just as much as we all want jobs. Your professors are here to support you intellectually, compassionately, and of course, spiritually. You are here, and that is good. We are here, and that is good too. God is with us, and that is incredible. So let's take full advantage. Thank you.
Man, why did I have to follow that? I knew James Lambert going in front of me would be good because it would get me pumped up. I also knew it would be a letdown for you because it would get you pumped up too, but here we go. My name's David Dixon. I am in my second year. I am so happy to be here. My first interactions with Southern Virginia University were back when it was Southern Virginia College, and I attended a youth conference here in 97, 98. So at the very beginning. And after I fell in love with the area, I fell in love with the school, and I said, I'm just not courageous enough to be one of those first 20 students who goes into a university that may or may not have accreditation in a few years. And now I work for the people who are that brave, and I give kudos to them every day, and thank you. So, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that we're on a journey. This meeting that we're at today sort of feels a little bit like a pre-graduation, right? We all walk in, we're dressed weird. I'm not wearing the hat because I'm proud of being bald. There's so many good things going on, but this is a real opportunity, and so I'm excited to get to teach you. I'm also really uncomfortable because I'm going to sort of give a different type of talk than I usually do. And I'm going to talk more about myself than I usually do. And so I'm deeply uncomfortable with that. But let me start by saying that this is part of the journey. Think of yourself on a journey. Everything that James just said about college is true, is real. We all experienced it. We may have experienced it with different devices, but we experienced it, and it was real. But part of this journey is everything that's happened in your life beforehand. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk to you a little bit about some aspects of my journey here that might be helpful. It'll be weird at first. I'm talking a lot about myself. I'm sorry, but that's what I know, and I want to share it with you. So first, I come from a great family. I am truly blessed. I have parents who love each other deeply, who are opposites in personality and incredibly complementary, who have deep and abiding faith in the gospel. My father's family left the gospel when he was young, and he found his own way back into the church when he was in college. My mother came from an incredibly faithful family. Her father is, my grandfather is a patriarch who gave me my patriarchal blessing. I am extremely blessed. I'm also the oldest of 8 children, which is even more extremely blessed. I'm now married to an amazing woman who's in the audience, and I am a happy father of 5, and maybe if we're lucky, someday a few more. We started with twins, and I'd love if we could finish with them. So, 2 for the price of 1's a deal, I'm telling you. When I was 5, we moved to Texas. It's about to change. We're about to take a corner, so be prepared. When I was 5, my father quit his accounting job because there was a market collapse in Utah. I was born in Utah. We moved to Texas. He went to go get a PhD in business strategy. And at that time, the stipend at Texas Tech University was 4 digits. Not a lot. And we had 5 kids. And so we moved to a very poor part of town. Our neighborhood, my mother would babysit other kids, so 5 wasn't enough, but she would babysit others to help try to earn a little bit extra money. But the neighborhood that we live in was rough. I didn't realize it was rough. I just thought it was cool, except for a few things. One, I was offered hard drugs more than once as an elementary student. That was weird. One time I was chased by a gang with their knives out. I still think that they confused me for somebody else because I certainly had not offended them. Another time, like I said, a hard turn here. Another time, my mother had to huddle us into a corner as shots were fired in the other side of the duplex, and holes came through our wall. Another time, my father had to take a person who was nearly beaten to death in our backyard because of a drug deal gone bad to the emergency room to try to save his life, which he did, and I'm proud of that. I had no white friends. I didn't even know that was a thing. From the age of 5 to 10, my friends were Javier, Corey, and Derek. Corey and Derek were my best friends. They were brothers. They were both African American. And they taught me what the word prejudice means as we sat on the roof of my house. I'm a goofball. I'm sorry. I was part of desegregation. I am 37 years old. I'm not that old. And they bused me to the other side of town, where I was the only white kid in that class, which once again felt normal to me, except for I got sent to the principal's office 9 times that year because I kind of stood out. Probably not in good ways. And all of that put together was my childhood, and I loved it, and I was happy. But there were some struggles there. At that time, I had a wonderful aunt. Her name was Aunt Sherry. And Aunt Sherry was a great blessing to me because I come from a big extended family, but her and I had a special bond. We were very close. We would go to Grandma's house, and we would organize all of the things that were in there. Not just organize, like stack them. Like we made like a library out of Grandma's books and tried to get all of the cousins to check things out through us. And she helped me do this, and it was amazing. When I was about the age of when my dad finally was able to graduate and get a job, Aunt Sherry got breast cancer and died. That was my first brush with death, and I did not like it. When I was 12 years old, we now moved in a much nicer neighborhood in a different town. My dad was now a professor. And my mom was pregnant. She was pregnant with number 6. I don't know my numbers. 6 or 7. And she was pregnant, and one day she went to the doctor, and she found out that she had a miscarriage. And she was devastated, and she drove home. And when she opened the front door, she saw my father over my little brother, my almost 2-year-old brother's body, who had just died at that same time in the morning. Those two events happened together the same day, left a big gap in our family, which we eventually filled by adopting a beautiful girl from Russia, who's now my youngest sister, and only 6 months younger than my youngest brother. So everybody thinks it was a really weird twin pregnancy. My sophomore year, we moved up to Utah. I promise this all has a point. My sophomore year, we moved up to Utah for my sister to have an extended surgery. While there, I got into an accident, a car accident, a moped accident. I'm not nearly cool enough to have been in a motorcycle accident. And in that moped accident, a few things happened. I shattered both of my legs. I lost my nerve in my left leg permanently, a lot of it's permanently, which has some perks. My friends would draw on my leg when I wasn't paying attention. That kind of made me cool. I didn't know what was happening. But I also was put in a coma. I had some I'm still shooting for temporary brain damage. And I was in a coma for 2 weeks. When I woke up, they informed me that I had 700 stitches in my face and 2 plastic surgeries. And that I was now going to be in a wheelchair, hopefully just for a few months, which was accurate. I was only in a wheelchair for a few months. I also found out that I got to take a helicopter ride to the hospital. And I missed out on that because I have amnesia for about 3 weeks. So they charged my parents, insurance company hopefully, $5,000 for me to take a cool helicopter ride that I missed entirely, and I'm a little bitter about that. This was my sophomore year of high school. My freshman year, I was on the basketball team. My sophomore year, I obviously was not. I was out of school in a wheelchair. When my junior year, I did not join the basketball team again, in part because of surgeries that I had to have to remove titanium things out of my legs. It's probably okay because I wasn't that good. So I probably wouldn't have gotten in anyway, but it was always something that I thought, what if? Maybe I could have become good. Probably would not have. Still going, sorry. And the other bum deal is 5 plastic surgeries later, I still look like this. That's a lot of money to spend. Before I moved back to Texas for my junior year, my grandfather, the great patriarch, he gave me a blessing, and he talked about that I was going to feel a great missionary zeal when I came home and a desire to share the gospel. That happened. I forgot about the blessing for a while, but its fruits were made manifest and were incredibly real. I started wanting to share the gospel with everybody, and when you live in a small town in West Texas, I was getting all my rebelliousness kicks off in one shot. So I would go to the Desert Book and buy all the stuff that the Utah people are embarrassed that they sell, and then I would go back to Texas and I'd wear it, and it would be, whoa, he's so crazy. He wears like choose the right stuff and things. What's that? It's a Mormon thing. But I luckily, despite my probably stupidity, had some success. Some people joined the church. This got particularly intense when one of my close friends joined the church. I shouldn't say joined. She wanted to join the church. Her father was the son of a Baptist preacher, and he explained to me that he thought that death would be better than his daughter going to hell. I thought that was a pretty extreme statement. Extreme things started to happen. And one day when I came home, he was driving back and forth in front of my house with a gun waiting for me to make good on that promise of what would be better than his daughter going to hell. So I snuck into my house, and me and my dad hopped in a car and drove to Utah. This was in the middle of my senior year. When I had a meeting with the stake president in Texas, and together we decided that it would probably be best both for her, the safety of her family, and for everyone involved for me to leave in the middle of my senior year and move back to Utah. To live at my grandparents' house and try to keep people from killing each other. At the time, my dad was a bishop. And so, luckily, one of his counselors was a sheriff. And so this same person had tried to run me down on the road because that was easier than shooting and a few times. And so we developed an escape plan until I left. As I was leaving, people in the nearby churches started preaching against me as a minister of Satan. That's cool. You get a title. The challenge was that some of these people ran my high school. So when I was still had 2 or 3 weeks left to finish in that semester before I moved to Utah, I came in and one of the assistant principals asked me into her office. She brought a police officer in and she had him fill out a restraining order from me ever again stepping on Canyon Independent School District property again. I said, "Why are you doing this?" She said, "Do you want to know why?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Because I don't like you." And then I found out the next week that she was in the congregation with the minister who had called out and asked for them to do something about me. My band teacher, I had given my whole life to band up at that point. My band teacher also kicked me out of band. It didn't really matter because I was leaving in 3 weeks, but it still hurt. Fast forward, I go to college. College was awesome. I loved college. Everything he said, I loved college. I didn't know anybody, but I loved it. That was cool. That was fun. College was so fun. I took 6 classes my first semester. And you know what's more fun than classes? Like everything. And so I got an A- in guitar and 5 Fs in my first semester of college. I don't recommend this. It took a lot of work. I had to retake all those classes. Even the ones I didn't want to retake, I had to for the grade. But that was entirely my fault. A year later, I was on a zip line in North Carolina. I got thrown off it. I shattered both my wrists. I had to drop out of college again. Now my arms are strapped to my chest. Luckily, I had a girlfriend who would take care of my arms for me. You can see I'm basically a basket case. So a year after that, right in the middle of while we're adopting that sweet girl from Russia, my mom's having trouble breathing. She goes to the doctor. They say, "You have a tumor, a cancerous tumor inside of you the size of a mason jar." I go, "What?" I come down from college. They say, "Yeah, there's 50-50 chance that she'll die in the next 2 weeks. And if she survives the next 2 weeks, then she'll live." Okay, this is an intense 2 weeks. She lives. Spoiler alert, she's still alive. Dealing with all of the issues that come from having to kill cancer, but she's alive. And that was the miracle. Fast forward quite a few years. I'm now in college at BYU, or I actually have just technically just dropped out for a semester from college from BYU. My father has just been told that he's going, by his doctor, that he'll live to be over 100. He's the business department head at Weber State University. He's in his early 50s. And then he announces to us around New Year's Day, I think it was actually at the party, that he has stage 4 liver cancer, and that hopefully he'll survive it, but he might not. So me and my wife, and we had 2 little babies, because we started with twins, remember? So we had our 2 6-month-old babies, and we moved in with them to take care of them and, of course, nurse them back into health. He did not get nursed back into health. 6 months later, he died. Now, my youngest siblings were 14 at the time, so we stuck around to try to help them for a while. And now, all of a sudden, here I am, as James so poignantly pointed out, without a college degree, trying to find a job to support a family with multiple kids while also trying to help my parents, my mom, with the kids. A few months after that happens, I get a job. I get a great job. It's at least a great job. I mean, it felt like a great job because it came with a free house. It paid about $15,000 a year, but that's a deal, man. And so I took that job, and about 2 months later, weird things started happening. All my joints on my hands started going, and my shoulders and my back and my feet. And the feet were the worst part because all of a sudden I couldn't walk anymore. And so now I'm sneaking around in a wheelchair. And my twins don't care because they can't walk either, so everything's cool. But I started going to doctors. Didn't have health insurance. This is before the Affordable Care Act. So there was no health insurance to be had for people like me in Utah. And so, but I still just pay out of pocket to try to go to doctors. Nobody can figure it out. Finally, me and my wife decided to take the dramatic move to Massachusetts, where they have Romney Care, and I can actually get taken care of. Before the Affordable Care Act, we moved to Massachusetts. I go to Harvard Medical. They diagnosed me with a strange and incredibly aggressive version of a couple certain types of arthritis. And go fast forward 4 months, they find shots that actually do the trick, and all of a sudden I'm standing, and that's great. You might notice that I'm off. This is like a secret that I don't usually want to tell people, but you might notice that I'm almost always in sandals. Some of you probably think that's because I'm naughty. Probably more of my colleagues. Some of you who are students probably think, I don't know what you think, but the secret is my right foot's a little deformed, and so shoes hurt, and so I wear sandals whenever I can. And sandals, previous to having this job, I wore shoes 3 hours a week. Now only 2 hours a week. So that was a perk for me. Sorry, I keep making weird microphone noises. I'm almost done, guys. I am so almost done. But at the end of the day, there's 3 things that I want to tell you that come from that. That's part of my journey. There's 3 things. It's not all my journey. I left out a whole bunch of stuff that's good, obviously. There's a whole bunch of miracles that are good in there. But I want you to know a few things that I've learned from that. The first one, God is real. He is not. I'm coming out of Stanford University. I have been with some of the best and the brightest in the world. I have taken theology classes with some of the best and the brightest in the world. Philosophy classes. I'm a sociologist by training until I got into business. All of those, I did sociology at Stanford too, and business. There's a trend right now, and you're swimming through it. And we all have to deal with it, to think that God is either A, not there, period, or B, is some sort of weird mystical force that is sort of like universe, and I'm like spiritual but not religious, and all that stuff. That's not real. God is real. He's a real person. He's a real being, and Jesus Christ is real, and he loves his children. Look around. We are the most amazing thing on the earth. We're the most amazing thing that I know of in this universe. The art, everything that James talked about, you don't see the monkeys doing that. I'm not evolution, by the way, but you don't see the monkeys doing that. You don't see the otters throwing out some symphonies or whatever moves you. Because we're special. We're different. There's also another thing that's going around right now, that we're a parasite on the earth, and that the earth would be basically better without us. That is also not true. We have the capacity for incredible evil, but we have way more capacity for incredible good. And so the first one is God is real. Let me give you a quote quickly from Joseph Smith. He said, "If the veil were rent today, and the great God who holds this world in its orbit and who upholds all worlds and all things by his power was to make himself visible, I say if you were to see him today, you would see him like a man in form, like yourselves in all the person, image, and very form." That's real. Figure out that's real. And if you haven't, okay. I've had a number of times, I skipped over those in my thing, but I have had a number of times where I myself wasn't sure if God was real. I spent most of my mission not being able to believe that God was real, but still somehow believing in Joseph Smith. That's a weird dichotomy, but it worked itself out, and I can promise you the light at the end of the tunnel is not you convincing yourself of something that's not real. It's you discovering that your brain, the culture you're in, all of those things don't necessarily point you towards reality, even though reality continues to be there. The second thing is what happens to us does not make us who we are. We are not what happens to us. I am not who I am, for better and worse, for any of those things that happen to me. We are what we are because of the choices we make. There's a great quote that I want to finish on here. Harry Potter. My favorite of the Harry Potter movies by Sirius Black, who I would love to be for Halloween, but my wife says nobody will know who I am, and that's fine. I'll get a great wig. Sirius Black says, "I want you to listen to me very carefully, Harry. You're not a bad person." I'm going to cry about Harry Potter. Welcome to me. You're not a bad person. You're a very good person who bad things have happened to. You understand. Besides, the world isn't split into good people and Death Eaters. We've all got both light and dark inside of us. What matters is the part we choose to act on. That's who we really are. We are not the product of crap that's happened to you. You're not even the product of the amazing privilege that you may have come from and that happened to you. What God cares about and what you need to care about is the choices you make. We sat our kids down recently and had a family home evening, and we went through all of the things that they didn't choose. And we go, does that make you special? And they said, no. And we go, all the things that they do choose. And I go, does that make you special? And they go, yes. I go, good, then you figured it out. What happened to you is irrelevant to who you are. That doesn't mean it won't make things harder. It's harder for me to do things. There are certain things where I had to work through. There's other things like that. But this is all part of a journey. As I finish up, I just want you to know you are the most powerful creatures on this earth. In the universe, I'm going to roll with that because there may be aliens that I haven't met yet, but barring any evidence, we're just going to roll with it. James E. Talmage, to finish up, said, we are potentially now actually to be. We are greater and grander, more precious according to the arithmetic of God than all the planets and suns of space. For us were they created, and they are the handiwork of God. We are his children. I love you. I'm so happy to be here. I intend to die here at a very old age. Thank you.